these and putting these together, weighing, getting those sources. Those are the tricks I think around that. And then let's just go over kind of like the check-ins, right? So get your starting weight. Do it. Obviously, we're meeting Wednesday. If anybody sees Bill in the next one, let's ask him what time we're starting Wednesday.
Are we doing Wednesday nights the whole time? I thought we were doing Tuesdays.
Oh, fine.
I heard it's Wednesdays now, right? So,
That's the problem.
so here's the thing. We did Tuesdays in our group, right?
Okay.
Full disclosure, I said, when we were setting this group up, I said, yeah, we can start. He said, can we start? How about we'll do this intake, then we'll start on Tuesday the 7th. And I was like, you know what? Actually, this 7th is my 50th birthday. I'm sure I'm going to learn to love you guys very much, but I don't really want to spend my birthday with you. No, my dad flew in from California, so we're doing a dinner and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what, I can't. I just can't do that one. So it started, can we do Wednesday to start? I'm like, I'll do any other time you want. So we do Wednesday. I can schedule around doing this with you guys. So then Bill did ask about, can you move it to like 6:30? I said, sure. Can we stay Wednesdays? Are we going back to Tuesdays? I don't care. Just pick one out of that, and then I'm booking around to that. So we'll get that in 1 second. But that detail aside, if you want, I would maybe recommend. I think Sundays are the great day to do all this kind of stuff, and then get me your information so I have it like going into the week, and we get the new schedules off of it. But start with. Do you all have scales? The scale, no.
Bill has one right here.
You could do that. You could do like Tuesdays then. If you
I'll
want.
just do it here.
That's what I was starting with.
If you want to. The thing about that is that then you're going to weigh yourself like late in the day. And so what I would recommend on weighing is that you want to, whatever you do from a weight perspective, you want to do it at the same time. The ideal way to do it, we can do it without a scale.
I'll do it at the hospital. Yeah.
Okay.
I walk right in the door and the scale's to the left. So.
Okay.
And they're accurate.
And are you there in the morning?
Yep, at 7 a.m.
You will be fasted at that time. So wait before that coffee or whatever. I would just try to. We just want consistency, right? So that measure is there. I really don't care about the scale. I don't care what you weigh. I find it a very misleading metric. But it does show us a little bit as one of the metrics. What I always say is let's go by the mirror, because that's the only thing that matters. If I waved a magic wand, right, if you said, well, I really want to lose 10 pounds, and have that mentality, and I wave a magic wand, you weigh 10 pounds less, but you don't love what you see in the mirror, what was the purpose of that, right? We want to go by clothes, we want to go by the mirror, we want to go by what people are, noticing in you. Is, oh my God, you look, every one of you talked about people coming up to you, through that process, and like, oh my God, what are you doing, and that's what motivates you and kind of keeps you going off of that. So I would recommend Sundays, start, first thing upon rising, get that body weight, just make a note of that. We'll track for the first week on these meals. Just tell me how many times you're eating on average, right? So if one day is 2, the next day is 4, and it alternates like that, 3 on average, right? I just want to know kind of from that. And then we'll see, and I'll make changes as we need to. I don't care, don't think that there's a right number. There's not a right number or a wrong number. It's not, oh my God, I had 3 meals yesterday. Okay, I had 5, fine. If your body's talking to you and you're going through this process, that's what matters. And then we'll look at, these other things. If you're having 5 and your body's not changing, right? Weight's not changing, and more importantly, appearance isn't changing, right? Because we've got some pictures, because that's what I want to see is visual. That's what matters to me. That's the most important component with those other 2. But from that, then I will change your macros, right? You may lower something, may raise something to affect what's happening out of that. And I'll calculate all of those kinds of things around it. So then the last part is really, well, let's talk on those pictures for a second. We had a lot of people who started uncomfortable, right? And people were posting in the group. I was like, I don't really want to. Can I send them to you directly? And I was getting like direct messages. I put my email in here, so you can send them directly to me. I won't do anything with them, but I have to have that as a judge to see. And I'll just share another Bill story with you. Is that because he and I were in contact a lot in this, and I think it was week 2 or week 3, he sent me a note. He said, man, I've lost like 6 pounds, but I don't look any different. I'm looking at 2 pictures, and I said, what don't you see? I see lines. In 1 week, I see some lines, maybe it's 2 weeks. You don't see this? He's like, nope. I was like, okay, well, stay on, right? Keep on. Okay, so we kept going. And it did lead me to, which I shared with you guys at one of the groups, right? It stimulated this thing, is that there was a study called the facial recognition study. And they worked with these people that literally had facial reconstructive surgery. So there was clearly a difference in what had happened with them. And afterwards, they were unable to see a difference in themselves for 21 days. It took 21 days before they could see that their face had changed, because they were so used to looking at it. Their subconscious sees it, right? 90% of our existence is just functioning through our subconscious, which is just these series of patterns of doing the exact same thing over and over. So you'll go through this probably where you have difficulty seeing it in yourself. Others will start to see it around you before you do. The pictures will reveal it as well too. So I really need to have those as well too, so I can see those pictures. Because if I just said, do you look any different? You're like, nope. You're going to have a hard time going forward and staying, because success is a great motivator, right? If you're busting your ass and nothing's changing, it's hard to be uncomfortable. But if you're busting your ass, uncomfortable, and it's happening, you're like, oh man, this sucks, but I like where it's going, so it'll kind of keep you on track. So I need that as one, and then average number of meals, and then I ask you to self-grade yourself, right? In terms of progress pay. You just do it like swimsuit is ideal. If you're uncomfortable in that, do like some shorts or something like that. The more I can see. I don't want to see too much. The more I can see, the more I can see, though, right? Like, okay. Yeah. I prefer not, but whatever. This is clinical for me, I do assure you. But just kind of front, side, back is ideal. And if you just do it in the mirror, right? Boom, 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 right? Turn it around. That's the easiest way to kind of do that. Try to stand at the same distance, right? Because sometimes you get one. Try to wear the same thing if you can, because if you start changing all that stuff up, one time you're far away, one time you're close, it just makes it harder to have, the consistency of seeing what's happening. And then give yourself a grade, right? Be honest with yourself. It does, and the grade is how well are you following the protocol, right? How, each of these different steps, the foods, the sources, the amounts, the windows, all those different protocols, take all those those are like all your classes, give yourself an overall grade and where you are in it, and honestly, be honest with yourself, because that's the only thing. Is if you tell me, it actually will hurt you if you're dishonest with it with yourself, right? Because it's uncomfortable. If you didn't do well, you didn't do well. We keep going, right? Okay, what can we fix? What are we having a problem with? I'll work with you in that. But if you say, hey, I'm A+, and we're not seeing changes, and then I don't know I don't know how to help you, or B, what to change. So everybody was great about it, Don't be too hard on yourself either, right? Although it's really pretty black and white. You either are in 16 hours or you're not. And if you say, I give myself an F, I only did 15 hours on Tuesday, every other day was 16, that's being too hard on yourself, right? Stay in that protocol, tell me why, if what it is, what you're having trouble with. If it's I give myself a C- because, a couple points, then I can help give you some tricks maybe around that, right? I'm having difficulty with whatever, the 16 hours, that tends to be the first one, right? I'm having difficulty getting to 16, help you maybe get through a couple things. And then the last one is just tell me how you're feeling, right? How you feeling on this? You might be tired at first, but you'll go through an arc and a curve, I think, where you get. everybody typically gets to a place where they start feeling stronger and better and kind of clearer. And I know that was all of your, every one of your experiences. And I know, I'm just using Joe as an example. I think he was traveling almost the entire time.
Wow.
And so he kept saying, yeah, I'm having a hard time because I'm with, you were traveling a lot, but you were hitting your numbers. Joe was with clients. Okay, no worries. Any quick questions? Are you good? Okay.
But he was doing client stuff, dinners and stuff.
He was doing client dinners and stuff. And actually, I was just talking with him last week about how to then be able to do it better in a restaurant, right? And kind of that ordering. He's like, yeah, now I get it. Like, I think it just kind of clicked for him. He's like, now I see how I could have done that at that client dinner. Better, at least,
Yeah.
right? So, but when you share that with me, then I'm able to kind of give that back. Otherwise, I don't really know. So that's literally,
Besides training with you the one night a week, what is your overall recommendation on the fitness classes here? How many to do?
yeah, good
not
question.
do?
Yeah, I would definitely try to do something at least, between 4 and 6 days a week,
Okay.
something, right?
Because I looked in the group and there was a lot of preaching about yoga specifically that seemed to be going on in there, but
Yeah.
yeah.
What I would say is, try to do things you enjoy because it's, or enjoy more, after enjoy, because then it's easier, to get into it, but it is consistency, it's like anything, right, consistency. I am a big fan of, well, you're gonna be fasted in a lot of this stuff, so if you said, hey, I can do anything, I would do your exercises while you're in your fasted state, right? So that is better. So if you're like, if you have schedules, you have to make it work the best you can, right? I have this schedule and I can only work out at night, so therefore I'm not in my fasted state because you're not going to change that, to be fasted at 7 p.m. or whatever. But in an ideal world, you definitely, want to do that. You're exercising in the fasted state. I think I was more concerned with everybody in our group doing too much, not too little.
Okay.
We had a lot of people that, a couple times, I'd get here and they're doing a class
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
before we're about to train. I said, what are you doing? Well, I want to get that in before. I was like, that's overtraining. You know what I mean? That's
That's why I wanted to ask.
yeah. I wouldn't, so on what I said, which leads to that, is on our day, whatever day this is,
Yeah.
just tell me too, so I'm there.
Right.
I wouldn't do anything else that day.
Okay.
Although you can do the cardio, right? We used to do that a lot too. Is I would ask somebody, "Did you do cardio today?" And somebody said,
What?
"Yes, I did the boot camp this morning or whatever." I'd say, "Okay, no cardio for you." If not, what we did was we did 10 minutes of HIIT at the end of my group.
Uh-huh.
So you can get it all encompassed in my group on that day. If you want to train my methodology on your other days, that's awesome too. I'm happy to, share that with you. Help coach you in like, hey, how can I do this? That's fine. The classes, great. Don't double stack them on our day.
And you prefer to work out fasted, and then are you breaking your fast after the workout, or is there a little time in between, like after, before you?
Yes,
do the
yes,
break?
yes.
Okay.
All three of those, because yes, after, with some time of when you are hungry,
Gotcha.
right? To me, everything.
So that whole thing about having to get something in your system an hour after for recovery, that's just.
I could preach about anabolic windows all
Yeah.
day, right? And I could talk to you about the science and all those kinds of things around it. What I found is that the hormonal benefit of the elevated testosterone and growth hormone outweighs that window in that, and we're gonna
Cool.
and because we're using the fasting and the insulin response as to those mechanisms and those drivers to make that happen. I don't think. I'm less concerned about a closed window, and really what I want you to get to is intuitive eating, right? Getting to this place, but then in the right ways, right? Get to the right intuitions. Eat when you're hungry. So if you trained your ass off, like if we if you literally go do 13 exercises to physical failure, no chance you're gonna wanna eat right after, right? You're gonna need
Sure.
a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And then when it comes back up and you get in your water and you get rehydrated, then you're gonna be full from that. Then when you're hungry, then eat.
Okay. And then for guys, it's 40 gram protein, 30 carbs, 17
Yes.
fat to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Start you there.
Awesome.
Cool. Cool. Any other questions?
Oh, I have a question.
Bring it.
This happened last night, and I remember you touched upon it. If you feel cold when you shouldn't be cold, that's a thing. Like your
can
body's reacting to
Mhm.
something. And I know I ate like 2 macro meals,
Mhm.
and it was like at night. I had gotten into the car, and I wasn't working in the freezer,
Okay.
and I was working at my desk, and I was
Okay.
normal. And I got in my car, and it was freezing, and you know it's like 90 degrees.
Oh,
out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a thyroid thing?
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
that normally what I would ask is if you have any blood work, like what your TSH levels are, you know, to see from that. We can look and see what's happening from that.
It was really the first time I ever noticed
Yeah.
it. So
Did you happen to take any type of like stimulants, like any type of like a
no.
pre-workout? Some of those can trigger some of that too.
Yeah, I'll have to be a little bit more focused.
Just awareness
on
as
it,
to
yeah.
anything else outside of the ordinary, and if it happens again, but it can be thyroid as well.
Okay.
And so, what we talked about in that is that if you are experiencing, and I'm glad you did bring it up from that standpoint.
Sure.
I mean, one to figure out for you, but for you, 3 ladies, is that in women sometimes from the fasting that is something to look for as well. I think that's where I had originally brought it up, is
Okay.
that if you're having difficulty getting to 16 hours and doing that, and you are experiencing that, then let me know on that so that we can see, and we want to check, make sure that thyroid function is good. Thyroid function is not strong. Are you on Synthroid or anything?
Yeah, I have Hashimoto's.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Synthroid X,
Okay. Want to know what's great about that?
What?
Whew, you can burn some body fat on some Cytomel.
Oh, good.
And there's not almost every single bodybuilder uses Cytomel.
Oh, really?
I don't recommend it, but it's, I mean in terms of in that, because
I
you,
won't share.
when you come off of Cytomel, you have to be very, very careful.
Okay.
Because what happens is, with it, not you with Hashimoto, but with exogenous, right? That's exogenous. Your body stops manufacturing it. Your body's not manufacturing it, so you have to take it, but or is deficient in it. Iodine, right? You know, iodine is something to you that you might be low in iodine. If you have blood work,
Yeah, I haven't had blood work done in a long
you might want to get blood work done. We can
I'm
look
due
at-
for my annual physical, so roughly
Good.
during the time we're doing this. so
Good,
I'm
good.
going.
I just
That-
had mine Friday,
Do you have blood work?
so I'm getting Friday.
Okay, you'll be getting blood work from that?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like it, share it with me, be happy to look at it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I also have really tight hair tops, so I have to watch out for my hair.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, they thought I had Hashimoto. I had some nodules, but I don't think so. It's still there so far.
I did great, I would take scan and everything, I was like, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, I mean, that's my whole philosophy and program is everything is designed about being healthy, right? You
Yeah,
know, and
right.
these things about balancing these hormones will do that. And a lot of times we have problems with certain metabolic functions because we're overstressing things. So the perfect example is like taking that DHEA because your adrenal glands you're producing so much adrenaline, right, and cortisol out of that it can't make DHEA. When it can't make DHEA, it's progesterone, so then you lose that, progesterone too, then how those both break down, then DHEA and testosterone and estrogen, it literally goes down this whole kind of chain of where these things happen. So you start to balance these things out, all those metabolic functions start to improve,
So I'm
when
really
you're not
excited
overtaxing
about
things.
doing this, so I can
Yeah.
go back and do more blood work.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm super excited you have a pre-baseline too.
Yeah,
That's
Awesome.
really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
and I drew it out because I hate needles, so they had to drag me to get blood.
Yeah. Oh, so you know what? While we're on, just one last quick mention to that. So I'm gonna have a celebrity guest appearance, somewhat pseudo-celebrity, celebrity in my guest appearance with us on Wednesday at our thing. So he was my protege, and he's awesome guy. His name is Milo, Milo, and he's a former top bodybuilder, and he's coming in town for my birthday, actually for my birthday dinner. He's gonna stay with me, and he's like, hey, you're starting a new group. He's in this world with me as well. He's worked with me through like 4 different companies, but he runs a hormone clinic in South Florida. And so he's constant. He was a medic, paramedic with the fire department for 15, 16 years. This is all he does are those kinds of things.
Bring him up to
It-
work.
yes, honestly, bring your blood work. He is amazing. He's probably the smartest guy I've ever known in the world of hormones and peptides and all that stuff, and they just treat people all the time around that. So he'd be awesome if you have your blood work.
Yeah.
They'll look at it. And so he's like, hey, you want me to come to your class with you? And it's like, yeah, don't scare anybody. He's the sweetest guy, but he's a meathead looking guy, right? Bald, big bodybuilder. That's pretty redundant in that world. But I said, yeah, help me with time under tension, mind muscle connection, and intensity with these people, with all these other people. You guys went through that where it's like, no, that, since we're all doing it at the same time. So it'd be awesome to have him here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you guys for your time. I'm excited. Yeah. Somebody can hit stop on that.